introduction. Alongside, I have also got Kushi and Hemnath to be as co-hosts for the session. I'm very happy to be welcoming you all to the session. I'm extremely pleased and delighted to have CA Dungachan sir for the session as a speaker. So, sir is a practicing chartered accountant since 2005 and is currently the managing partner of PSDY and Associates, having offices at Chennai, Madurai, Cochin, Pondicherry, and Bengaluru. He's a graduate from NMS's Valley Chami Nadar College, Madurai. He did his articleship in Kumbhat and Co, Chennai. He is also a fellow member of the ICAI of India and also has passed a diploma in information system audit of ICAI in 2005. He is also elected to the regional council of SIRC of ICAI for the term 2016-19 and also 2019-22. And he's been served as secretary SIRC of ICAI between 2017-18 and vice chairman of SIRC between 1920 and also as chairman of SIRC of ICAI 2020-21. And a point to be noted is, during his period of service as chairman of SIRC of ICAI, SIRC of ICAI was awarded as the best region of ICAI. And he is also ex officio between 2000. He was also ex officio between 2016 to 22 at Madurai, Sivagasi, Pondicherry, and Trichy branches of SIRC of ICAI. He led the Public Relationship Committee, Editorial Board, Information Technology and Digital Transformation Committee, Committee for Members in Industry, and the Continuing Professional Educational Committee as a chairman for the years between 2020 and 21. He is also nominated to Technology Initiative Committee of Bombay Chartered Accountant Society in the years 2018-19, 19-20, 2021, 21-22, and also 22-23. He's also nominated to Regional Direct Taxes Advisory Committee and also Information Technology Committee of Association of Chartered Accountants, Chennai. Sir actually holds records of school topper in accountancy in higher secondary examination and also college topper in business correspondent. He's also been awarded as second prize for the best presentation in the general management and communication skills course conducted by ICAI. He's also a member in Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, Mumbai, Association of Chartered Accountants, Chennai, Chartered Accountants Studies Circle, Chennai, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Mumbai. He's also authored book on Excel tips covering uses of MS Excel for professional students, and also been an active participant of Jan Seva, which is an organization helping those in need. And he's also presented papers on digital assurance, information technology with references to e-filing and uses of Excel in various forums and CPE meetings. So as you all know, today's topic of discussion will be bank audit using technology. And these days, technology have immensely emerged and also has a lot of impacts in various fields. Same way, it has also got impacts in the way we conduct audit. A lot of which will be dealt in detail by CA Dungachan sir. It's such an honor to be welcoming you, sir. I would request you now to take over the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Venkatesh, for the lovely introduction and the lovely start, actually. In fact, as he rightly mentioned today, we don't do anything without technology. Probably we breathe technology, and we could not even dream of things where technology cannot be there, actually. And the pace in which the expectations are required is only increasing. So probably in our session today on the bank audit, the idea will be to see that you are able to try to achieve the maximum of the things with the least of the time, actually. And I was listening to a few of the speakers of the last 2 days, where they have given you a strength about the concepts as to what you have to see in the bank audit, actually. So we'll straight away jump into the session, and I'll share my screen. For everybody's benefit, I want you to note down this link, actually. I will put this in the chat box as well. Somebody who is telecasting this in YouTube can put it in the description or the chat box so that everybody stands to gain from the link, actually. It's it's nothing but a Google Drive link where I've used a URL shortener. so that it's easy to type and get the information.
So sorry to interrupt. Can I make a small announcement?
Yeah.
Students, you are left with the option of unmuting yourself, but only when it is necessary, please unmute yourself and get interacted with the sir. The rest of the times, have yourselves muted. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
So they can unmute as well as put things in chat, right, Venkatesh?
Yes, sir. They can do both. They can do both.
Okay. So if you have any queries, you feel you don't have to unmute yourself and speak, put in the chat box. We can take it up then and there, or at least in the end, actually, which I think Venkatesh will be tracking all those queries which are coming. And again, I'm not very a technical man, but I'm a technology man. So limit your questions to those areas. But wherever I could share my knowledge on or things which I know, I'll be happy to share things with you. So, okay, I presume you have got the link, and this link, what it will do, go to your any of the browsers, copy this link, and this will open a Google Drive. In fact, I've been taking few sessions for members for the past few days, and I just did the same thing to you because I don't think so you can differentiate that, bank audit for students can be different and for members can be different. What I think is this will contain the complete set of things which is required for the bank audit, and those who are engaging themselves in the bank audit can share this URL with your principal or your chartered accountant so that they can go through these things and help to perform the bank audit effectively. So once you open this Google Drive, this will give you some files actually with some folders. And how to copy this I don't think so I have to teach you, but still for the benefit of everybody, because if we open this file directly in the drive, it will either open in Google Docs or Google Sheet. To avoid that, what you can do, select the entire files, and say right click, download. This will download all the files at one go in a zip format. No, sir, I don't want all the files. I want only few of the files. You can go to the particular folder and then select download. That particular folder will get downloaded. Choice is yours actually. So the first 4 of the folders, the Guidance Note 2023, RBI Master Circulars, RBI Master Directions, and the RBI notifications, these are nothing but the information which have been culled out from the Guidance Note 2023 from ICAI. So this is to provide you at one go so that you can pull the information without depending on the internet or maybe for your offline reading actually. Then I give it the standards on auditing which are applicable for the bank audit. Then the 6th folder contains the practical referencer for the bank audit. It contains a lot of important checklists. This was released by SIRC in the year 2020, and not much have been changed actually as far as it comes to formats. So you can take help of this and try to use this checklist for your audit as well as to act as your working papers. And then we proceed to folder number 7 that contains some write-ups like the write-up which I'll be covering today and some of the functions which are given as in Excel, the Excel shortcuts, few of the ebooks which will help you both which are from SIRC as well as other branches and region. And then the important contents which are there from the ICAI journal. So that also I have put it actually, which you can make use of it. There are 2 latest ones in the March 2023, one being on the IRAC norms and another one being on the statutory branch audit of banks using the CBS tools actually, which is given by CA and Ishwar Chandra. And then one is on the IRAC norms by CA Dhananjay Gokhale. And then the technical guidance on the LFAR is also provided for your benefit actually. So make use of that as well. Then I've tried to put the other speakers' contents also. And there are 2 latest, one by CA Kuntal Shah and CA Dhananjay Gokhale, which may also be referred for you to understand about the IRAC and the CBS norms actually. And then the 9th folder contains the shortcuts for all the Finacle, which you can use it. The 2 files are added, which can be used for you to get to know the commands which you can use it for the audit actually. So the 10th sheet, which is the control sheet, contains the template for the audit, which will be using it extensively along with the add-in. And then there are three draft Word files. One is for the communication to the previous auditor, one is letter of engagement, another one is the management representation, being otherwise called as written representations. Before we get into our template, I would like to bring to everybody's notice the nice utility given by our ICAI by the Center of Audit Quality. There is a board separately by ICAI, which has given a beautiful checklist on the bank audit, which everybody can go through it. It will help you to see that you don't miss out any of the important parameters in the audit. Of course, the template which I used is also same, but only thing is this contains the checklist. There I have given the recording of the things which you do during the course of the audit actually. So I'll close this PDF and open the ones which are there on my hard disk. So then, and then there's one more practice file I've added for the benefit of everybody, which will be covering in the today's session actually. So you're more bothered about these 2 files, and then the raw data is being provided for our pulling of the information, which we will be doing it on 2 occasions actually. So this will be our control sheet or the template, where I've given the small brief about how the template works. In fact, you can feel free to add or deduct sheets. And a few of the preliminary things to get going is, excuse me, whenever you are going to the branch, you will have a choice of downloading the files in Excel or in text file. So if there is an option available where you can download the file in Excel, please do it in Excel, because you'll be saving a lot of time to rework on those text files which you are going to otherwise get. So the choice will be to get in Excel, but if you don't have a choice, but those comes only in text file, you have to download it in Excel and then process the data in the Excel, which will be covering in today's session actually. Second thing, you will have a question as to, sir, should I be going for the downloaded files or should I download the file myself? The suggestion to everybody is, please download the files yourself, for the simple reason that you are very sure of the integrity and authenticity of the data. Not that I'm trying to tell that the data which in the system will not be correct, but there are some chances that some of the branch employees or the manager would have opened that file, did some analysis where things could have gone this way, that way, and they might not be correct. So as an auditor, it is our duty that whenever we are performing an audit, we should be very sure that the data on which we are working is 100% correct. So it is always advisable that you download the files yourself rather than try to rely on the downloaded files actually. Third, which I keep telling everybody, when it comes to work, nobody can match us. We do the work beautifully well. But the only problem is when it comes to documentation, the chartered accountants and the CA students both are little weak, I will say. Telling that, no, I did the job, why I should record things. See, let me tell you, if you are not able to provide proof for the work, or you are not able to provide documentation, then it is assumed that you have not performed the work at all, or you have not discharged your work very, very correctly. So please ensure that documentation is one of the important part of the audit. Not that you can compromise on the work and just concentrate on the documentation. I'm not trying to tell that. Of whatever we do, please ensure that you have a proper documentation with you to prove and demonstrate tomorrow that yes, I was able to do the work in this way, and these are the things which have kind of gone into it actually. So please take care of that with the peer review, with the Center of Audit Quality, with a quality for there's a QRB, Quality Review Board, all those things. Today, it is all the more necessary that you keep all the working papers and the documentation intact, because there may be some call from these bodies or the regulators like ICAI and RBI telling you that please provide us the documents on which you have placed your opinion on the financial statements and the certificates. So kindly be careful on those lines. And fourth being an audit program. Kindly ensure that you have a small audit program ready before you start, so that you know how you have to proceed with things. It need not be very elaborate, it can be even brief. The choice is yours, but do have an audit program so that you know that what you have to do and you don't miss out on the important things. That is the important part. And fifth, today's session is only going to strengthen the concepts. Whatever I teach you is just not applicable for the bank audit, but for any of the audits or the assignments you do. And few things which even may not be directly applicable for bank audit, because say I've got the Excel file directly, then what? But then there may be cases where you get only the text file and how you process the data and keep the records. So our objective of today's session will be to strengthen the concepts. Sixth being that all the points given in LFAR. LFAR is nothing but the long form audit report, which is one of the requirement which we have to fill the questionnaire given by the banks, so that the person who is reading this will be able to get a judgment of how the branch stands actually. And let me tell you, for all the points in LFAR, it is possible that we use technology to arrive at exact points rather than giving generic points. I recall few days before where it was not possible to get the information or analyze the data. We used to give very generic comments or disclaimers, telling that the branches generally complied with XYZ norms. But in today's scenario, where we are having all the data and all the information, we don't have to give generic comments, but we can be very specific about giving the comments as to where things stand. And if today in the coverage, I'll be telling you where all you can use technology to do things effectively. And then the samples what you pick for the audit, because audit you cannot do 100% verification, you are not doing an investigation. So you will have to pick some samples, and based on those samples, you are going to place your audit reliance actually. So while doing so, ensure that these top 5 or top 10 samples are being picked from each category. And while doing so, do not miss out to pick the current year samples also. So in one of the examples which we will cover, I will tell you how we pick those 5-10 samples, and also we don't miss out to pick the current year loans also. The 8th one, whenever you are using systems, please pick those laptops which are actually used to it. Don't try to explore something new just before the audit. I've seen few people trying to go for new laptops or new systems. Don't do that, because there might be things which might not work correctly, or even if it is going to work, it might not work comfortably the way you have been used to it. So please don't try to explore things new in the last minute. That younger days, I recall, we as students were told that don't use even new pen when you are practicing for the exams or when you are preparing for the exams. Kindly use the same pen so that you get the same flow during the exams. So same with advice when you are performing in the audit as well. The next one, there is no single way to get things done. There are multiple ways to get things done, and everybody can be right. So please do it the way whichever comforts you. But only one piece of suggestion will be, if there are 3 techniques available, and there is one technique which is going to save time, please do that. Sir, I know this technique saves time, but I'm not very comfortable. Ignore that, go for the next best option. So there is no necessarily that only if you do this way, what you are doing is right. Not so. There are a lot of ways where you can achieve at the same result, and every way what you do is the right way. Probably in today's session also we will try to see the same way where you can achieve the same results using 2-3 different techniques. And then where you have a choice, where you are able to convince your principal, please ensure that all the data you take backup in Google Drive or OneDrive, because many a time we have seen that the data which is there in the system gets lost and becomes very difficult to retrieve. In my own case, where I was having this data in one of the 2B hard disks, the hard disk crashed and we lost all the data. So today I always have additional backup in OneDrive and Google Drive, so that tomorrow if there is any need to retrieve the data, I can do that. And one more good thing is, it is retrievable at any point of time. You are not dependent that I have to be having a physical hard disk for me to access it. It is not so. And you may ask, sir, how safe it is? How safe it is to have the client's data inside Google Drive and OneDrive? I will only tell that is as safe it is there in your office. Only thing is you have to have a proper management of your passwords. Your passwords is very hard and you don't share it. I don't think so there is any problem in having the backups in the Google Drive or OneDrive or any other online cloud which you can store the data with. And last, they said computers and technology will make life easier. Though apart from making this life easier, it has thrown up a lot of challenges also, which we'll be covering it today. But nevertheless, what we would have otherwise performed a lot of time to do, today we are able to perform it a shorter speed of time, where we would have given only generic comments and we would not have been very specific about it, or we would not have pointed out things. It is very much possible today that we'll be able to do things with ease, and that too we'll be able to quantify. So the next sheet contains all the standards on auditings which are applicable for the bank audit. I've given two links. One is the link of ICAI, which will open the PDF directly. Another is the Google Drive link. Just in case sometimes if the link is not working, I've given the alternate link also. So the choice is yours for you. My only request will be to kindly go through the standards. These standards, apart from helping your writing your CA exams in CA Inter or CA Final, will help you to do the audit very, very correctly. The standards on auditing are the guidance for you as to how you should be doing the audit. I always tell that this is an insurance for the members. Tomorrow, if anything goes wrong and you are able to demonstrate that I did things as it was required for me in the standards on auditing, this will come off very, very handy and help to you. So please take care of all the standards on auditing. They are not just for the syllabus for your CA final or CA intermediate. Kindly take care of it. I have attached a small information about the bank or the branch which we are auditing. So it's the permanent information about the name, the branch, the sole ID, the DP code, address, email, name, and other areas applicable. So all those information can be fed. What I've tried to do here is I given some yellow sheets, which means you have to fill the information. And the moment you fill the information, this will go green. The idea is to get an attention that there are some things which are not yet filled actually. And I did nothing but used a simple conditional formatting, which you can copy it yourself in other sheets you want, or you can go and explore by going inside the conditional formatting, manage rules, and just double clicking this to see what is it we have did here actually. I use the length function telling greater than 0, which will shade the sheets in green actually. Again, as I told you, you don't have to do this. There are multiple ways of doing this also. So coming to the requirements for review. So when you start the audit, I know the audit acceptance letter would have come. That should form part of your file actually. And then very importantly, a letter of communication to the previous auditor should have been sent actually. There is always a story, I mean, a school of thought that for bank audit, communication to the previous auditor is not required because RBI and ICAI intervenes. It is they who appoint actually. Whatever be it, the communication to the previous auditor is a must and it has to be done. Only thing is, sir, whether it has, I'll just try to click and show you a small sample. Of course, here you'll open in Google Sheet actually, I mean Google Docs. You're proud to give a small format. And if you see here, it says it has to be done through RPAD or hand delivery. RPAD is nothing but registered post with acknowledgement due, or you'll have to get it through the hand delivery. And very, very limited time for the bank audit. It might not be possible for us to reach somebody in person and then try to get the signature. Or even if I were to send it through RPAD, it might take some few days for me to get it. But correctly speaking, these are the only two ways where you have to get it. Only advantage what we have now is there was a small relaxation that was given during the COVID time. So this was the relaxation given on 1/5/2020, 2020, where they said that where it comes to communication with the retiring auditor, you can do it through the email. But only thing is, when you are doing so, ensure that an acknowledgement of such communication is received back from the retiring auditor's email address. So whenever you are sending an email, you have to ensure that a reply is got back to you so that you can commence the audit with ease. This part will have to be looked into. Then I've given the small format for the engagement letter also. So you can go through the engagement letter, of course, modify it. This is only a rough format which has been given. You can change it to the way you want, and ensure that you try to get the signature from the branch manager before you leave the audit. And this contains the information as to what is the scope of the audit which you are committing to. Then every bank would have issued a closing circular. Please go through those, because there might be a lot of small information which would have been given, rather than waiting for things in the end. Because in the end, if you start seeing it, you might miss out on certain things. There might be some certificates given, and then you will not have time to verify those things. So have a very, very clear policy as to what is expected in the closing circular, where it relates to auditor and the certificates which have to be issued by the auditor. So please take care of that, so that there is nothing which comes as a surprise in the very last minute for you, and you are able to take care of all things which are required to be considered while you are going to issue certificates, or where your role is there for you to issue any of the documents. So take care of that. There might be some instructions from the statutory central auditors also, which you can go through. I recall in one of the branches, the balance sheet didn't tally. There was a small bug in the system, and then every balance sheet which there was an error. So we had to round one or two figures which were wrong and tell that you please read this as these figures instead of this. So please take care of that. Don't have a confident level that anything which is generated by the system is right and we can take it as it is. Please, 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 you go through it, to go through the documents to see whether you are able to getting convincing replies as to whether they are right or not. So not necessarily whatever that is given before you generated from the system is right. You only have to take it with a pinch of salt and see that you are able to prove that whether the schedules or the necessary documents which are giving is matching with it or not. If they are not matching, please ensure that you try to appropriately address it either in the financial statements or through the report or through the long form audit report. The choice is yours. Kindly take care of that very, very cautiously. So I've tried to list down all the documents which you will be requiring it. This will help you to plan the audit, and this will give you a fair idea of where things stand also, including the pending litigations, bank reconciliations, your fixed asset details, your NPA accounts, your SMA accounts. All those things will help you to review and see whether those have been properly taken care in identifying NPAs or not, including the demands of traces. Many of the branches, though have centralized, there might be some old demands pending, which you can try to get the credentials and check, or try to get a confirmation from the management that there are no demands when it comes to TDS or GST. And very importantly, the written representation. You need to get a management representation. I have also given a small format where you need to get the management representation from the branch manager when you close the audit actually. And what I have did additionally is, okay, I have a few questions to ask. If I need to go to one particular sheet, say this Excel sheet has got some 30-40 sheets. I mean now say 5th sheet, I need to go to say 25th sheet. I'm not very sure it is the 25th sheet or the 26th sheet. How can I do so? Venkatesh, if you can open the chat box. I hope it is open.
Yeah, sir, it is enabled. It is enabled.
Okay, if people can put few answers in the chat box, I need to go to one of the particular sheet in this Excel workbook. How do you think I can go to? One is, clicking it one by one, which is fine, which is how we generally do it. Is there any other way where you practically have used those techniques to run to the particular sheet you want? Maybe we can give hyperlink. Perfect. So to give hyperlink, I need to work beforehand, where I can tell that written representations, right click, hyperlink, link here, and then say insert link. Yes, it is possible. Any other way out? That is the right way, but I will feel that that is required if you want to have the data more organized, where you keep shifting between two places very, very often. Here, I don't think so. We require that frequently. How do you run through some other sheet, which is say last but one or last 2-3 sheets of this particular Excel workbook? Try giving some answers, nothing wrong. Or people are taking time to Google it and see if something can be got. Those who are really interested can try ChatGPT. In fact, you can use ChatGPT to, get a lot of information also on bank audit. Yeah, perfect. I got one answer. Control page down. Yeah. So to go to other sheets, what I can do is I can say control page down, which will take me to different sheets. One way. There's one more way which I would like to tell you is, you can see these two arrows on the bottom left side. Just right click, you'll be able to see all the sheets. I know you would have did this or seen, but you would not have registered in your mind. So here now I need to go to the last sheet because I was not very sure whether this sheet MR is management representation. I click. So whenever an audit is being performed, you can start noting down certain things. Like today when we were discussing, we were on the sheet number 5, requirement for audit. Control home. And then here we saw that some pending litigation. They're telling that there are no pending litigation. So the moment they are telling there are no pending litigations, right click, go to the MR sheet, just give a small, make a small observation telling that no pending litigation. Now, do you think I should compulsorily this should form part of my working papers, or it is optional? Can somebody tell me, should I get this compulsorily pending litigation, or is there a way out where I can find actually? Now, few banks do capture that in a core banking system, but what if it has not got captured? Just because it has not got captured, I cannot put myself into trouble. So for those points where I need to only fall back on the branch manager or the branch to get the information, you need to have a management representation. So you can put these small points here, and later when you are going to finalize a management representation, you can put those points elaborately. Choice is yours. But the reason why I'm telling you this is, I have seen that when we do the audit, we have a lot of things we note here and there. But the moment when it comes to closing of the reports, we don't record all those things which are required to be done actually. So we miss out certain things which are to be got in the management representation. So to avoid those things, it is better we put 1, 2, 3 as and when we are doing the audit, so that tomorrow when we are going to finalize the audit, or when we are going to take the final written representation, we will not miss out any of the thing. So I'll right click, go back to the sheet we were there. We were the requirements for. Yeah, MR was the last point which we covered. And if any one of you have got doubts, I will request you to put in the chat books then and there. If possible, I will try to take it up immediately, or we will take it up in the end. Then we have tried to give a small sheet where we could capture all the information about the other audits. So before even we start the other audits, you must always go and check with the branch that if there have been any frauds which have happened. Why is it so? Why is it so that I should go and ask if there are any frauds at the branch? Even if it is there, I can always ask in the end, make a note and close things. Why do you think I should ask that in my initial days? Can somebody put in the chat box in Zoom? Why you think? Any guess will do. That I must be interested in knowing if there are any frauds which have happened during the bank, right in the beginning of the audit, rather than at the end of the audit. And you can always tell, sir, it's only a post-mortem. What difference is it going to make? To decide my sample, perfect. More than deciding on the sample, it is deciding the areas where you need to be very, very careful. Say if there has been some frauds which have happened, dwell loans, then all those areas where dwell loans are there, you'll have to be careful. You'll have to tread very, very cautiously, because if anything goes wrong, it can put the auditors into trouble, telling that you knew some fraud had happened and you are so ignorant about certain things. So that will help you to plan up the audit, put the area which you have to really look into it can help. Yes, somebody has given the answer that we can concentrate on specific transactions where fraud have happened. It's not just not those specific transactions, but all those areas relating to it will have to be seen that anything afish or anything has been missed during the finding of the fraud action. And if there are any cash shortages, especially if the amount involved is more than 5,000 rupees, you will have to ensure that that has got reported on the same day. If the cash shortage beyond rupees 5,000 is not reported on the same day, but reported say after 2-3 days, that itself is a fraud and will have to be reported, and it will have to be informed to the top management as well as the general statutory auditor. So please ensure that those parameters are also taken care. This small template will help you to capture those things. The branches may be subject to concurrent audits, which many of the bigger branches are. In those cases, you can note down the observations by perusing the last 3 months report. I put December 2022, Jan 2023, and Feb 2023 report, where you can capture the observations which are given in the KYC, advances, physical documents, documentation, revenue or leakage, and all other areas which you feel relevant. This also will help you to plan up your audit program to see which areas you must be giving, the areas which you must be spending more time on. So kindly fill those points. And whenever you are perusing a lot of reports, it might not be possible for me to take extract of all the reports. I cannot take photocopies of every concurrent audit report which I'm going through. So the notings which you make here will give a small idea tomorrow. Whenever there is a big question, sort that, sir, how did you arrive at these things? You can tell these are the notings you can see which are there in my working papers from the concurrent audit reports which I have taken. So please ensure that these reports contain all the basic information which tomorrow you can help to demonstrate that you have perused all those reports for the audit. Then if the branch is subject to RBI audit, you can make note of that. The branch would have been subject to some inspection report, which they do it every year. The bigger branches is done every year. Few branches it is done once in 2 years. If under your audit period, if there has been anything done, please go through that and see where everything has got closed or not. And if it has not got closed, whether they have time still to get that closed or not. If the time is over and still things are pending, You'll have to scrutinize those pending things and give your observations also. Very importantly, do not forget to go through the preceding year statutory audit report, LFAR, and tax audit report if you are doing the audit. Because a lot of work would have been done by the previous auditor, and he would have given a lot of hints for you to perform your audit this year. Like LFAR especially, if the points contains that these are the items pending for so many years, it is going to help you to do the current year audit with ease, because you can pick the information from there, see whether they are continuing or not, if they are closed, whether they have been properly closed or not. And then your job will be only to find continuing thing for the last 1 year only. So kindly go through that. In many cases, I have seen people have did a very, very decent job, and it helps us to plan our audit also for the current year. So kindly take care of this area also when you're doing the audit. The branch is subject to IS audit. What are the observations and how things have been closed? Same is the case where it comes to revenue audit, stock audit reports. The branch could have did some forensic audit reports on some borrowers. If those are the cases, you have to be careful, because if the forensic audit report have concluded there have been frauds, then we have to deal those accounts or those areas altogether differently. There could have been some credit audit reports, cash and currency chest verification report, other special reports, some important correspondence at the branch. All those things you can make a small note of it, which will act as your working papers, and also you'll get a clarity how you have to take the audit forward. The verification of physical cash, I just try to give a small format where you can note down the verification was done by whom, which partner, review, observations if any, date and time of verification. And what you have to do is you have to just fill the figures, and automatically the output will come. Of course, basic multiplication function we have put, including mutilated notes if any, and then late cash and other things also has been captured. And where there have been surprises verification done, you can make note that when it was done and it was done by whom actually. If there are more than 2 managers, generally the chief manager will do the surprise verification. And if there is only one manager, a manager from the nearby branch would have come and did the surprise verification. And there have been notings in the cash book register also. So yes, sir, now I fill this information. What should I do? It is enough if I keep this as part of my working papers. My request here will be, when it comes to cash verification, please take a printout of it. You sign yourself and get the signature done from the custodians of cash to know that on the day of verification, this was the closing cash and their certificate. Many auditors, what they do is they sign in the cash balance register. That is fine, but that remains with the branch. So it is better you take a printout of that in your records and get it properly signed. Now, if I do a preview of this, you can see some shades actually. I don't want these shades to come in the print, because it might look shabby when I'm going to take a laser printout. So how to see that these shades don't come in my printout? At the same time, I don't want to go to the sheet, remove my conditional formatting and remove the shades manually. What I can do is I can go back, select this, say remove shades, and because there are conditional formatting here, go to conditional formatting. One second, screen is paused. Is the screen visible? Can 1 or 2 people confirm it? Whether you're able to see the Excel sheet? Yes, okay, good. So now I have to remove the conditional formatting, say clear rules, clear from the selected cells. This is one way out. I'll give Control Z to undo. Now my question to everybody is, I need to take a printout of this without the shades which may come very, very shabby because I'm using a laser printer. If it's a color printer, then I'll get it in beautiful color. And also it is not required that you have some yellow shades, green shades, and gray shades when a printout is taken. How can Excel help me to overcome this? I'm very sure many of you would have tried actually. So those who know the answers can on the page setup sheet black and white. Perfect. I've got one, I've got two answers in page out option. Choose black and white. There's one option known as page setup, which is there in the bottom. You can click this. Alternatively, you can go back. There is a page layout option given in the ribbon. And there you can click the bottom end arrow also. Both will open a same dialog box. Choice is yours. So I'll show you both the way. Control P. Go to page setup. This will open a page setup dialog box in which you go to the last tab. There's a page tab, margins tab, headers, footers, and sheet tab. In that sheet tab, you can see a checkbox known as black and white. So I'll just give black and white and say OK. Now what has happened, I'll just go back and show it to you. All these color codes are there in this Excel sheet. But the moment I go to print preview, this will not come under the printer. So this will help you to have a legible printout, but at the same time, it doesn't disturb your Excel sheet also. Okay, now in this case, I've got this come under two sheets. I'll take a printout. If I feel that the font size is so small and not readable, I would like to get it in 2 pages. What I can do is I can go to page setup. You can see the scaling option. The scaling option helps you to limit things. Like many times I've seen when we want to take a printout, there may be 2 lines which goes to the next page, and taking 2 pages for another sheet for these 2 pages, the printout will not look good. So in those cases, this can come very handy where you want to fit it to 2 pages or 3 pages actually. Screen is not moving. Screen is stuck. Okay. Stop it. Can somebody confirm that you can see the print preview screen? Okay, now fine. So here when I go to page setup, the sheet is where I had added this black and white to get things done. Now if I come to this page tab, there is one choice here. Fit to 1 by 1. I will say here, please make it in 2 pages because I feel the font size is very small. Now the moment I give OK, you can see that what was there in 1 page now is coming in 2 pages. Of course, if I don't want this to start with total, I can go back, go to the view. I can say page break view, and then of course, change it manually. Then do a print preview, which will give me exact cuts where I know. I'm very sure you all as students would have explored those things actually. So it will be normal one. Save this. Now there might be possible that few of the branches will have ATMs under them. How to know that? Simple, you can go to the balance sheet. If you see the balance sheet, the cash item has cash at ATM also, then it is necessary for you that you capture those information about the ATM also, where you have to do the verification of the ATM also on any fine day. Then the branches, if they have got jewel loans, you need to pack the counts. The number of packs versus the number of loans will never get tallied, and there will be genuine reasons because some accounts would have got closed, but the jewel packets would not have taken. Few cases there may be some litigation. Few cases there may be that the legal aid certificate has not come, so you have not, the bank has not given the jewel loan packets. So all those things will have to be properly captured in this sheet for you to reconcile, because if any of the packs are missing, then you will have to be very, very cautious that whether anything has gone wrong or where there has been any missing of the packs or anybody has taken actually. Of course, my experience is Generally, there won't be any missing packs. It is only that you need to reconcile and arrive at the closing figure. Then the sample packets, few of things can be verified with the weight. So ensure that that is done before one of the bank personnel and before the appraiser. If possible, your partner of the audit firm also, partner or the proprietor, as the case may be. You can check 2-3 cases where you are very sure that the weight which has been put is also matching with the actual weight. And that can be verified with the account opening form. Few packs you can verify the quantity. If it says 2 bangles and 1 chain, you can open the pack. Only thing is, do all those things before the appraiser and one of the bank official. Do not do in their absence. It can lead you into trouble. So be careful with that. One question did crop up during my sessions that, sir, should we even check the purity of the gold? I feel it is not required unless you have reasons of suspicion. Because I'm doubting that things are not right. Or when I checked the weight said 500 grams and I could see that this pack has got only 100 grams. If you are able to find it, that there are some things which could have gone wrong, or that branch where some fraud has happened in jewel loans. In those cases, you do it, but otherwise it is not required. And even while doing so, please ensure that you call the appraiser from the nearby branch for it to get verified. Don't try to do it with the same appraiser of the branch in that, because if you do that, then nothing new is going to come out. And one more information I want to tell you, that when it comes to identification of frauds, can somebody tell me, with all what you have heard, all what you have audited, how are actually frauds unearthed during an audit? How do you think generally we can identify frauds when we are performing the audit? Because the expectations today is so high that the moment a branch is getting subject to audit, the frauds should have been detected by the auditor. But my experience is there are only 2 ways where frauds can be identified. Can somebody put in the chat box, how can you, how the frauds get identified during the course of an audit? No answers, I'm scared, because somebody says using audit trail. The audit trail will give you idea of things that you can use it to see if there are any deviations. Somebody says RBIA, you will have to give a full form. I will request everybody not to use abbreviations, not here, but anywhere, because a lot of places abbreviations can mean two different things. Like I remember in few of the audit reports, one word answer is given in form 3CD or LFAR. Yes, no, NA. Now NA, what would NA mean? NA can mean not applicable, NA can mean not available. So please, to the possible extent, don't use jargons. It can create trouble actually. Risk-based internal audit, perfect. Okay. So there are a lot of things available around you to see if there are any frauds which have happened or where you have to be suspectful about actually. But to me, frauds can be found out only by 2 ways. And people can correct me if you feel there are any other way of doing it. One is always whistleblower. Some dissatisfied employee, some dissatisfied person who will give you information that things have not gone right. He could have given the information to you. You could have given the information to the branch management also. So it is only through a whistleblower it is possible for us to find frauds. Somebody should have given some information. Second, it is always by trial and error. I have did something, I have stumbled upon something, I probe further. The examples what few people have given in the chat box. Somebody has given risk-based internal audit. I should keep my ears and eyes open that whether some deviation which has been given, I should do a further check or test to see whether any fraud has happened. Like somebody says, requested documents not received from the branch till the end of the day. See, if the asked student it does not come, I can understand. But if some documents have been asked for last 6 months and they are not coming, then those accounts I'll have to be careful because something is not right with those accounts or with those borrowers. So if anything has gone wrong, this can put the bank into the trouble if the money doesn't get repaid on time, all those cases we'll have to be very, very careful. So to find frauds, there are only two ways. But the expectation today is such that every audit the branch is subject to, the fraud should have come to light. How can the auditor did not find the fraud when he has did the audit? So my observation is that audits can never find frauds. It's only investigation which can find frauds. But however, you have to keep the ears and eyes open so that if there are some indicators which are being there, that should not get missed out. Because all the frauds, if you have seen, there will be some document which have been missing, some train which would not have, the dots which you connect will not get connected. This will give you a fair amount that things have not been right actually. But if somebody has been able to give a forced document or give all the documents what is required, then it is not expected from the auditor to find, unless like he goes through it and he finds that something is not matching or something is not right. So exercise caution. I always tell that chartered accountants and CA students should exercise professional skepticism. You don't have to doubt everybody at the on what you see, but at the same time, you don't have to trust everything also. Please see if there could be anything wrong, and then you will have to kind of go further for additional audit evidence or additional documents for you to be double sure that things are not wrong actually. So going forward, we have a small sheet on physical stationery where you capture the information about the DDs, pay orders, checkbooks, and how they are being properly handled. Here you'll have to be careful that the ATM cards and the ATM pins which get returned should not be held by the same person, because if it is being held by the same person, there can be trouble because people could fraudulently withdraw cash. So please take care of that. And then if there are any postal stamps, revenue stamps, and stamp papers which are forming part of the financial statements or the balance sheet, ensure that you reconcile and see that the same are being properly maintained. Lockers and bank guarantees and LCs, I've given a small sheet where you could capture the information. Only thing is, most of the banks for lockers, they use cash system of accounting, not the accrual system of accounting. So whatever system they follow, get it from the branch management and apply a test check to see whether what is being told is actually being followed or not. So take care of those areas. So now there is one question in LFAR. It says whether the branch generally maintains cash which varies significantly from the limits fixed by the branch. So you have to give your observation as to whether the cash balances have been exceeding or not exceeding. So I've tried to give a small example where this one particular branch had 2 cash limits during the year. From the April beginning to till one particular day, they had a cash retention limit, and on one particular day, the retention limit got changed. So in those cases, I've given a small way how to do it. But what we will do is, we will try to work on an example ourselves as to how we are able to get the things. But here we will go with only one cash retention limit to make things easier. So now what I will do, I'll go to the raw data file. There is cash balancing file for 2018-19. I'll open that file. So this is the file. I'll copy this. Control A for selecting all the data. Control C. Go to the Excel sheet. Control V. I'll put a Control A and double click on the columns so that all the information gets auto-filled, auto-fitted, in fact, to be precise. I'll remove these columns B, C, D, E, F, G, which I don't want. And now I could see that I've got the information, but it is having some spaces also in between, which I need to remove. I'll remove the top rows also, which I don't want. Now, can somebody put me in the chat box how to select the entire data? One way is to do manually. Of course, That still is the right way. But is there any easier way to select the entire data? Control A. Okay, Control A problem is every data gets selected. So it's not advisable that you do it because your processing speed is going to be very high if you do that. So Control A is not advisable, though Control A is the right answer. So somebody has put Control Shift End. Perfect. See, people generally what they do is they use Shift Control down arrow. The moment I use Control Shift down arrow, you'll see what happens on the screen. It has only got selected till there is a blank line after that. So the moment I give Shift Control down arrow, again, it is letting me select, but it is letting me select in small parts. So I can do that one by one also. To avoid that, what I will do, Shift Control End. This will help me to select the entire data at one go. And now what I have to do is I'll apply the filter. Filter, I can do it manually or use the shortcut, whichever you are comfortable. For those who wants to use the shortcut, go to data and say filter actually. So now this filter has got applied in C, D, E, F, G also, which I'll remove it. And how to sanitize this data in an order. Now that I've got this date and cache, it contains some dates, some arrows, something. If I open this, I've got some lines, cache, report, blah, 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 blanks. The easier way to do in this case, because I know this contains dates, I will just go and say date, sort from oldest to newest. By doing that, what has happened? Entire date has been properly sorted, and that is showing in the top. So now anything beyond that, I'll select the row and manually go to see if there is any information which I may require. I feel that I have nothing which I require. So I select it, right click and say delete. So my entire row is got deleted. Now you will see in a flash, I'm able to get just the date and the cash balance. Now I want these dates without minus. There is a small minus symbol before all this. I don't want that to be a hindrance for me while I'm going to analyze the data. Perfect. Somebody is good at mathematics. They said, sir, you multiply this number by -1, you will get the perfect number. Yes, that is right. Any other way where I can get this done? Use ABS, ABS, that is absolute value. Perfect, equal to ABS, open bracket, select the data, give OK. I've got the same result. Perfect. Any other way out? Both are right ways. Choice is yours. Which one you want to use? Oh, yes, perfectly. I've got the replace with blank, third answer also. So I select the data, give Control F or Control H, both are right. I'll get find and replace. Here I will say wherever there is a minus symbol, replace with what? Nothing. I just say replace all. Now, of course, here because we gave it by -1, the plus here has become minus, and because here it was absolute, this has not changed at all. So I could have used this also, but here I will be happy with using a Control F replace also, and I want the result. Now let us assume that the retention limit is say 10 lakhs. Now what we will do, we will give a if function equal to if open bracket, my cash balance in the bank has exceeded the retention limit. If it has gone above, then it is in excess. If it is not in excess, it is within limits. I'm just keeping it for the benefit of everybody, the formula equal to if open bracket, I have to give the logical test. The logical test is B2 greater than D1, comma. If it is correct within double quotes, I want the answer to come as excess because the amount is more. If it is within that limits, I have to say within double quotes, within limits, I've got the answer. So I have to just say enter and then copy this formula to the other rows here. So can somebody tell me whether this formula is right or I have to do some tinkering here? I know I can try out manually also and do, or I'll show it to you and then. How come on 2nd April, the 831430 should have been within limits is showing us excess? Here also same problem. Formula error. Yes, formula error. Dollar missing. Perfect. 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 One of the participant has told it rightly. So what I should have did here is I should have locked this D1 by putting dollar before that. I can use F4 also to do that. So I put $D $1. Now I try to double click, it will work. I'll show you one more thing. I've copied this formula here. Here I've got the answer. Now, when I wanted to copy this data to the other cells, what I did is I gave a double click here, it worked. Is there any other way out where I can get the same result done? Control D. Okay. Control D, I have to be careful. Only thing is I should have selected the one with the formula, then give shift control down arrow. Okay, down arrow is letting me select the entire range. So the trouble here will be to do it only manually, select it and then give control D. That also will do the job. I can do the same way using control C, control V. I'll say control C, select the data, control V. So you can see that there are multiple ways where I could have did things. But with the technique which I use of double clicking in the top right plus symbol, control E. What does control E does? Control D, I know it copies from the top. Okay, flash fill, perfect. Okay. Flash fill works only if you're going to take a data from that particular nearby cell and then do. I don't think so flash fill will work here. No. Flash fill will not work for this. So the flash fill works only, if I'm taking say 831 from this, which is the first 3 digits, something like that, then flash fill may work. Yes, where I've taken the first 3, so it is assuming that you're ignoring the last 3 data, but otherwise control E will not work. Now, when I selected this cell and I gave a double click, I was able to get the data right. But I'm doing the same exercise here. Okay, here I got it. I take it a little farther. Now, if I do a double click, now it is not working. Can somebody tell me why? When I gave a double click here, it worked perfectly. But when I'm doing the same thing in the G cell, it is not working. Space. Where is the space? No problem with the data. Same formula here. But double clicking is not, but if I drag, it will work. If I drag, it works, should be yes. You have to understand that for the double click to work, Excel doesn't know till how much cells I should travel. So there must be either data on the left side or on the right side. So here, when we did this, you can say, sir, there was no data on the left or right, but here it worked. I'll tell you why it worked was because we created those table and Excel had internally taken that to be a data actually. That is the reason when you go little further places, it is not working. So every small thing in Excel has a meaning which you have to know actually. So I'll delete this. So I've got these results. Now I want to know how many days there were excess of the limits and how many days there were within the limits, the balances. So which function should I be using? You feel will get me the result. COUNTIF function, perfect. So I will say equal to COUNTIF open bracket. So one good thing about Excel is I don't have to remember all this syntax because the moment I type something, I'll be able to get the answer. So COUNTIF open bracket range comma criteria. Now which is the range I need? From C2 to C30, 366. So I'll say shift control down arrow. C2 to C366, comma. I have to type the criteria. What is the criteria? Can somebody put in chat box? One I can type within double quotes, excess and close. Will get me the result. Or what I can do is I will select the copy the formula here. Instead of excess, I will say E2 because I already have typed something there, which is the same. So I've got the result. I'll copy this. So the problem when I copy is here it has taken excess because then I should have manually typed this as within limits, which will be cumbersome. You will see I have not got 365. So if I selected this, it was good. But what happened when I selected here? I lost one data because when I copied, Excel dynamically changes the cell. So my C2 has got missed. So what I should have did here is I should have locked this cell by using F4 or using those dollar symbol. So now if I drag, I've got the exact 365 days. And here also instead of C3, I should have said C2 to C366. So the drawback of not using dynamic formula is I have to change each and every formula then and there. Now instead of typing this range which I had given, if I know that I'm going to use this range for a lot of iterations or a lot of analysis, I don't have to literally type these codes. What I can alternatively do is I will select the range from C2 to C366. Then above these alphabets, you can see a small box here. This is called a name box. I will say ANALY analyze, or I will say analysis. But the moment I say analysis, it is taking me to some other sheet, which means I've already given this name box for one particular range in the sheet retention. So to remove that, what I will do, I will go to formulas. There is something known as name manager. I'll go to the name manager and remove these two things which I've already given. Delete. This also delete. Of course, by doing that, I've disturbed some formula here. Never mind. So I'll go to the top. C2 to C366, which will be shift control down arrow. Now in this name box, I will say analysis. Very important, after you complete your typing, don't forget to give enter. If you click the mouse, then that won't work actually. So now what I will do, I will say equal to COUNTIF open bracket. Now I'll name here analysis. select it, comma, say E3, E2. Now I can simply drag and then get the result. So now to achieve the same thing, we used 3 functions actually. And all the 3 are right. But of course, only thing is first function I will never advise. You cannot be using Excel and making your life difficult. So all these things is big no. So I'll strike it off. The strike off shortcut is Control 5 for everybody's benefit. Control 5 will help me to strike out things. If I do it again, it will undo things also. It's a toggle switch for striking on and striking off. So now you see, instead of giving these lengthier ranges, I would have just given analysis, which becomes very, very handy for. If anybody has got any doubts, I will request you to put into the chat box. Now what we will do is we'll go and try to do more value addition by giving the maximum cash held by the branch. You may ask a question, sir, are we required to do it? See, my question is today with technology and data available, it will hardly take 2-3 minutes for you to give this result. So wherever possible, where we could quantify or give some value addition, let us do it actually. So I want to arrive at the 3 balance here. The maximum balance, the minimum balance, and the average balance. So I can say equal to maximum open bracket and then select the range. So here again to select the range, what I will do, instead of typing and selecting the range, I will select the range, shift control down arrow and give some name here, say cash. Enter. Equal to maximum open bracket. Sorry, I should have used cash. Cash, close bracket. Okay, it is not maximum, it is max. Garbage in, garbage out. I always tell computers will never do mistakes, but they can do blunders. And you just saw one happening. Equal to min open bracket. Give cash instead of selecting the range. You got the answer. Same is the case with average, but for average, you need to use the full text. That's the syntax for average. Syntax open bracket, cash, close bracket. I've got it. I can go to home and select comma to give a proper display of it. Now what I have to do is, I want to know which are the dates the maximum and minimum balance was there. So my question to all of you is it possible? Is it possible to arrive at the day on which this maximum balance was there? And then is it possible for me to arrive at the day this minimum balance was there? If yes, what is the function? If no, why? I mean, what could be the reason that we cannot be able, we won't be able to do it? If I can get few answers in the chat box. Index match, VLOOKUP. Okay, index match can be done, but when things can be done by VLOOKUP, we complicate things. So I'll do a VLOOKUP equal to VLOOKUP open bracket. What is the lookup value? Lookup value is asking me to I need to select from the one which I've got the result is F7, comma. Now it is asking me for the table array. I want somebody to put in the chat box as to from where should I select. I should select from A2 or A1 or B1 or B2 or C1 or C2. or there is a problem here. And let me tell you, friends, what I'm going to teach you now is the common mistake which happens in VLOOKUP. If you are able to take care of this, your VLOOKUP can never ever go wrong actually. So can somebody put in the chat box, proceed with using the table array. Date column should be on the right side. Perfect. So if I were to select something like this, assuming I select the entire data, shift control down arrow, and then lock it also, comma. I want the answer, the column index number, the result which I need. I won't be able to put anything even if I put as 1 and say 0. It's going to give me an error because Excel, what it is going to do is going to search this 12 crores, 12 crores 28 lakhs in this date column, which is never there. So the common mistake in VLOOKUP is your lookup value which you are seeing should be there in the first column itself. So what I have to do is, in this case, I will select this date range, Control C, insert copied cells. So I will try to insert the date. Now I'll change the form function equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket. Yeah, somebody has given me a suggestion, you can do XLOOKUP. Only thing is XLOOKUP will work only for the advanced version of MS365, which also I'll be covering now. So VLOOKUP this value, comma, table array. So table array, now what I will do, I will select from B1 to C1. D is choice, I can select or I may not, doesn't make any difference. Then apply the dollar by using F4, comma. Now I've got 3 columns. First column is what it is getting picked. I want the result from my second column. Since I want the result from the second column, I have to type 2 manually. There is no way I can select anything here. So I will type 2 here, comma. Is asking for a true match, approximate match or an exact match. True is approximate match, false is exact match. In this case, I want the exact match. I don't want any deviation. So I have to type false or select false. False can be replaced by 0. So I'm typing 0 and say enter. I've got the result. Now get this to date format. I can go to home tab, select the short date and get the result. Or what I can do is I can go to format cells by using Control 1 and then using the date and give the format whichever I want and say okay. I can do it that way also. Now only problem in this function which you have used this 12 crore 28 lakhs. If there are multiple entries, it will stop with the first entry. It won't go beyond that. So that is a small thing which you have to be worried that whatever there is their first date, we are able to capture it, and you still want to go further, you can do a Control F or filter and then see if there are more than 1 dates. Like I can do a filtering here. So largest is only 1, or go to the smallest to largest. You can know that there is only 1 actually. Now, since I want it with dates, I will say date. So we were able to get the desired result through XLOOKUP. Now, if I were to use XLOOKUP, we arrived at the result using VLOOKUP. Now we will do the same thing using XLOOKUP. So equal to XLOOKUP, open bracket, select the lookup value, comma. Is asking for the lookup array. The lookup array table is straight away my column B. I will just select B is to B, comma. Is asking the return array. Return from A column. Comma 0 close. I can use format painter to select date or go to format cells and do it. Now, if you see the formula, you will see VLOOKUP had a lengthier formula where I had to kind of select the table properly, write the column number. But here XLOOKUP was very easy. I just picked the lookup array and then tell where my range was and where I want the output from, and I got the result in a flash. So what I'm trying to tell is, if possible, try to go for the latest versions of Excel, because it will help you to perform a lot of things at ease. And today, MS365 costs only 6,200 for 6 accounts with 1 TB storage for all the 6 accounts actually. And the same is available at as low as 4,000 to 5,000 rupees from a lot of registered vendors. So you can go ahead with that. So now we will try to do the same analysis using the loan balancing file. I have attached one of a loan balancing file for you to work in the working files. So Control A, Control C, go to Excel and give Control V. Now what has happened? All this data has come here beautifully well, but the only thing is, it has come in one row. You see this one row containing everything. I want this to be segregated properly. So how will I be able to do that? If I can get 1 or 2 answers in chat. How to text to column option, perfect. I select, okay, I'll remove the top rows which I don't want, have the heading. Now go to data, text to columns. Now I've got 2 choices here. I've got 2 radio buttons. One asking me whether I want the data to do it through the delimited way or use the fixed width way. Which do you think will be ideal? I'll just move this so that you can see the data. Can one of you tell me which choice, if I use, will be better, the delimited or the fixed width? Okay, I got one answer, fixed width. Why not delimited? That would have been easier, no? I'll show you how delimited will work, or if there are any limitations, we'll see. So I'll go delimited and say next. Is asking me what are your delimiters. So my delimiters here are space, comma is not there, okay. And then if there is any other here, I'm not seeing anything. So just give next and say finish. Okay, I forgot to select the range. So select the A column, text to columns, delimited, space and tab are there. Next and say finish. Control A, double click. Now you will see, because these names had space in between, like it was Radhakrishnan MR, this got separated into 3 and few there were lesser, so it was only 2. And here, because this number and name, there was no space, or I could have even alternatively data, text to columns and use slash also. And say slash here. Given this separator. But in spite of that, I could see that my data is not getting into a proper shape, because a lot of things are getting aligned to different columns. So I have no choice but to use fixed width only. So I'll give Control Z. And before giving Control Z, I will try to pull the information which is required for me in a common way. And for me, I could sense that the product number and the code is only given once, which I will be requiring. So what I will do is, I will select the data. Now for me to get the entire data into my filter, Shift Control End. I've got it. I'll apply filter, go to the top and say text beginning with PROD. So I've got all the product codes. I'll select it, Control C. Let me see if I can insert Way inserting is not allowed. I go for a separate sheet only. I don't know, sometimes this particular sheet, it is not allowing. So now what I have did, I have got all the data here. Now I need to separate two things. One, I want this number separately. Second, I want the product name separately. Can somebody tell me how to do that? One, I can go to data, text to columns, say delimited, and then put a colon here. But the trouble here is it is going to, can remove the space and see. A little better. So I'll say next, finish. Now what happened is I don't want this product code. Fine. Names I've got it right, but only challenge now here is I've got one code with 603 product name, 619 product name. How to only capture the numbers here? Can somebody put in the chat box how to just pull out only the numbers from this cell? Here your flash fill, somebody gave an option of flash fill, that will work here. 603 and then select the range and say flash fill. One way of doing it. Is there any other way I can do? Is it possible for me to get the 603? I can go to text to columns, say fixed width and slice it. One way of doing it. I've got it. I'll delete this. Somebody says length. Length will help me to see if I use length, len open bracket, select this. It's only going to be give me the number of things. So here what you can do is there's one function known as left, left, left. In fact, there are three functions every CS student should know: left, right, and mid. Wherever you want to pick some data from the left side, use left function. Where you want to pick from the right side, use right. And where you want to pick some particular data from the cell which is in between, use the mid function actually. So here I want the first three characters from this. So I'll say left, select my cell, comma, 3, close bracket. Sorry, I want 4 because there is a space here, it seems. Okay, so I gave 4, but I don't want this space actually. So before I process the data, what I will do is I'll do a Control C, right click, paste special, values. Can somebody tell me by doing this, what has happened? I copied the data, Control C, right click, paste special, values. Number is in text. Yes, no problem. We'll set that right also. But before that, why should I do a control paste special values? Can somebody tell me why I should do a control paste special values? Is it really a must? To remove formulas. Okay. One is to remove formulas, which is right. One is to see that this data is independent of the other data. And connect the nexus between my original data and this I want to disconnect, so that I can tomorrow delete this and I will not have any problem. Now coming back to this question that this is a text. Let me just check whether actually it is text or not. Equal to this into 1. Or I will say into 2. We'll see actually it is getting processed, which means it's looking like a text, but it is actually not a text. So how to overcome this? If I select this and say home, and then I try to change it to number, it won't happen. I select give control 1 and then select number, it won't happen. So how do I take care of this? There are two ways where you can set it right. Where the problem is only with regards to display, I can select this. You can see a small error, I mean this error symbol. Click that and say ignore error. I've got it, but still I have a doubt because the data is left aligned. I'll give control Z. What I will do is select the data, again go to data, text to columns, and say next, next. And here you can see date DMY. Don't worry, this work only for works for numbers also. And just get finish. You'll see now it has come properly in numbers. I can go to home and remove the decimal. Now this technique which I'm telling you, wherever you get a data where you are not able to convert it to numbers or date, in spite of you using the format cells or using the tab on the ribbon, the 100% way to do is select the data, go to text to columns, data, text to columns, say next, next, and select this data DMY. Again, I'm telling you, it need not be a number. This works for text also. Just give finish. You'll get it right actually. So now I'm able to get my product code and the product type properly. So I'll say code here. I'll say product. Fine. Now we'll go back to this sheet. Now that I've copied this separately, I'll remove this rows, delete row. So now we'll first slice it vertically, that is column wise, and then come back to remove all the unnecessary rows. So now what I will do, select the data, go to text to columns, and give fixed width, because we saw that delimited in this case is not going to work out, but I'll have to do it manually. I'll give next and then try to use the slicers. So I'm slicing it here, I'm slicing it here, I'm slicing it here in the middle to be safe. And because this is a customer code, I will slice it right after the number because .00 does not have any meaning. And after slash, I will slice it. Then I'll slice it here. Now I have a small doubt which I have to ask to everybody. Here when I'm going to slice it, which place do you think will be better? The end will be better, the next data's beginning will be better, or middle will be better? Can somebody suggest me, if you are doing this analysis, which one you would have preferred? Same thing will be applicable here also. I've given you three choices. One is to tightly keep it in the end, or to keep it in the middle of the next data, or to keep it in the beginning of the next data. Can I get some answers here? The end is better, middle is better, or beginning is better? I'm waiting for one or two answers. Somebody says end, which means remove these two and use it. Okay, I'll do end and show what could be the trouble, or there are no issues. Let's check both. So if my data is 100% aligned, then this will work out. Let me just scroll and see if, depending on the length of the, but it's perfect, because see, I'll tell you, you have to use permutation and combinations. You might go wrong. You will have to redo the whole exercise at least 3 or 4 times. The file which I'm now showing you, though I'm able to do it at one go, I remember when this file came to my, I did at least 5 to 6 times to get my 100% data sanitized properly. So there is no way that in single trick you'll be able to do it. So I'm just scrolling to see if everything is right or not. Here is the problem now. You can see here, had I given that very tightly, this 2012, what would have happened? 20 would have been here and 12 would have been out of it actually. So what I will do now is, I'll remove this and copy it here. And here also I'll double click and copy it here. So as somebody put it, it depends on the data. There cannot be a one foolproof answer where I will get it 100% right. But with these indicators, I can know where things could be wrong so that I will save a lot of time. So now I'll give finish. Control A, double click. Now you will see this column. Okay, first I'll remove the filter and do the filtering again. Shift Control End, apply filter. I'll remove the B column because there is no data here, or even the one which are there are not relevant. So I'll remove this. Okay. I'll remove this column D also now because I don't want this .00 and slash. Remove. Rest all fine. I will realign the headings. Serial number, new account number. I will say cust code. Name is fine. Open date is fine. This, because last two dates are missing, I will say LOPR date. And here I will make it as return rate of interest percentage. And here I've got liability. Now, if I see here, this is not displaying properly. So to get this displayed properly, I'll select the B column, go to home, change it to number. It is now displaying it properly. I'll remove the decimals because for the account number, I'm not bothered about the decimals. So now to remove unnecessary things, the simplest way here in this case is, I know that all the data is there in the is properly serially numbered. So what I will do is I'll go to serial number and say smallest to largest. And what this will do is it will get me the entire loan balances in order, and all the other things which I don't require will be in the end. So now what I will do is I'll go to 1573, select the entire row and then give Shift Control End. Okay, it has not selected the entire row, but only limited row. So I'll try to give Shift Control End further. It's not helping me. So to avoid things, let me do that manually only. Select the row. I've given Shift Control page down. Just help me select the entire row. Right click, delete. Now let me see if there is any other issue. So I got 1571 records, and let me do a cross check with the data by putting a total. The shortcut for totaling is Alt equal to. I got 28 crores 40 lakhs 7,000. Let me go to this PDF, the text file, and this was my total here. So I can see both are matching. So there is no data loss for me. I'll delete this. Fine, sir. Now I have got the proper data of the loan file which is there. Now I'm bothered to get the product code from the account number. Now you must know that there is an algorithm for the account number for every bank. First few digits can be the sole ID or the bank branch ID. Then they'll have the product ID followed by the account number in that particular product. So in those cases, I know that I have the product code in this account. Now here I can make out that the first 4 digits are the sole ID And then the next 3 digits are the product code. I want the product code from this cell actually. From the cell number B2, I want to extract 603. Now somebody can tell who told that flash fill is there. So I type 603 twice, select the data, and then go to data and say flash fill. And let me see if that's working out. Okay, because I've selected the entire table, yes. I don't know why it didn't work in few of the places. So somehow I'm seeing inconsistency. So I'll do a control Z. And what I will do is I'll use the mid function as somebody's already helped me in the chat box. So equal to mid open bracket. Is asking select the text. Fine, sir, I've selected the text, comma. Is asking for the start number. So what should I put now? Can any of you who are on the Zoom can put the chat box? What should I type here now? 5. Okay. Why should I select 5? Because I want the result to come from the 5th digit. So I'll type 5, comma. How many number of characters I need? Because I know the product codes are 3. I will type 3 because I'm interested in getting the 3 characters from the 5th character. So now same trouble here because this is also text. I need to convert it to numbers. But before that, Control C, right click, paste special values. I'm doing this because I don't want any formula. Is point number 1. So now to convert this into numbers, the best technique is this: text to columns, next, ADMY. So in proper text, I'm able to get this. Now we'll go to the sheet where we had captured these codes and do a pivot. How to do a pivot analysis? Go to insert, pivot table from table or range, and you select the table range. So in this case, A to I, shift control, down arrow itself will help for me to select the entire range. Enter, enter. Now if you see this sheet, I've got my pivot ready actually. So what I'm interested in the product code. So I'll type the code here. When I type the code here, it has summed because there are numbers. Had it been text, actually it would have helped me to give the code separately. So now that it has not got me the code separately, I'll have to do it manually. So instead of totaling the sum, I will say, please show it in rows. So all the product codes now it is showing in a row. So now what is it I'm interested in? I'm interested in knowing the total of each product. So I'll just click liability. I'm able to get the liability. Now I'll select this name because I'm interested in how many people are there in each category and put it under sum of values. Now you can see I'm able to get this information at one go. I'll copy it separately because sometimes this pivot, when I'm using formulas, it doesn't work correctly. So I'll say equal to my liability divided by the total liability, and I will log the total liability because I'm going to use the same exercise for all. And these decimals, let me go to home and say percentage with 2 decimals. So I'll do filtering until I want the largest to smallest. So I know if I cover top 5 product codes, it will cover 95% of my advances. And the maximum exposure which the branch has is 78% in one of the codes, which is 842, and 842 is agri gold loan actually. And one more small observation, if you have seen, there's one product code 10 here. Then there's one product code 970. These two codes are not, okay, 970 is there, okay. Okay, 970, yeah. In the first analysis, what we did, it does not capture this. This is not it. You would have seen that there are two categories which are not forming part of the product type which we have picked from the initial copying which we did. And when we inquired further for this particular branch, we found that these two accounts were actually staff accounts for which the treatment is different. That is the reason they had separate codes. So there could be a lot of reasons where you would get to know which, if you don't have the data properly, it might not be possible for you. Now, because I have pivot also, now say I want to know this 39 accounts which are there in this particular category. I click 39, you will all know that the moment you double click, the pivot will open all the information related to that. So I'll have to just say remarks. And then what I will do is select the top 5 items. Say, let me select the first 3 items here, which is the highest as per the balance. And then here, let me say newest to oldest, and let me select these 2. So now I will tell name, text by color, or not filter, sorry. I will say text filters, sorry, filter by color. So this is how now I can pick samples. That these are the 5 samples I'm picking, and by verifying, I can give my observations whatever I want to give. I can say here verified bank statement. No issues. You can say here reviewed interest coverage or interest payments. Whatever interest that has got levied for this account, whether they have got properly paid or not within the due dates. So all this information you can capture, which will act as your working papers. So you can see where even data is unstructured, by spending some reasonable time, you can bring it to a proper format and then you can do the analysis. Now the question that may come up is, sir, can I identify the NP accounts through this analysis? Friends, you will have to understand that the speakers would have covered in the previous 2 sessions also that RBI has told very clearly that marking of NP accounts should be automatic by the system. There should be no manual intervention at all. So where could things go wrong? Generally, things go wrong where there are restructuring of accounts and they may not be proper. How to identify those is available in the next sheet, where you have to get the review, the list of the loans which have got restructured during the year and see whether they have been properly done. How to do things on your own also, here you can pick the accounts from the oldest to newest, which means there are some accounts which are there for last 12 years. So the moment I know there are some accounts for last 12 to 15 years, I can always get the documents and see what is the reason that the accounts are still continuing. In one of the cases, we saw that it was a genuine education loan which was sanctioned for 15 years. So no trouble with that. So likewise, if there are any restructured accounts which are not proper, where documents are not there, they are straight NPAs. Then one possibility could be that the documents may not be available at the branch. Says we are not able to trace the borrower, sir, but we have structured on our own. In those cases, we have to be very careful because that cannot be restructured just like that. And very importantly, for an account which gets restructured, on the date of restructuring, the account should compulsorily be performing asset. If I have restructured a non-performing asset, it continues to be non-performing only. So that review has to be done properly, that on the date of restructuring, the account should have been a performing account. Only then it is possible for you to restructure. Otherwise, the restructuring is wrong, and then it has to be classified as NPA. Kindly take care of that part. I have given one sheet where we have captured the fixed assets, additions, and other information. Only thing you have to be careful is the date put to use is properly being marked rather than being the date of purchase actually. When you're doing a statutory audit, there is no necessary or requirement for you to look into the income leakages, if any. But having said that, if you have kind of stumbled upon something where revenue leakage has happened or some processing charges got missed, please make note of it and see to it that gets collected before you close the audit. Then the LFAR, there are 2 points. One is whether the test checking of interest or discount or commission revealed any excess or short credit of a material amount. Same whether it is case with the loan accounts as well as the deposits. So what we have did here is we have given the loan accounts which we have picked for sampling, and then what we have did is we have even verified it using our Excel. Like in this case, we just captured the details of the SB account, and we know that for 1,000 rupee which got deposited on 17th February, 3 rupee was calculated. So we have did the calculation on our own to check whether it is right or not, and we found that it should have been 3.33, but 3 rupee has been charged. So there was a small rounding of difference, and it was satisfactory. So same is the case where we pulled one FD account. Of course, accidentally or inadvertently, we picked a lengthier FD account which had got 3 interest rate change during the year, and we were able to satisfy that all the interest calculated are in alignment with the ones which we calculated manually. You can tell, sir, is it really required? Because if it is going to be wrong, it is going to be wrong for the entire bank. Whether it is right or not, duty has been cast upon us to verify one of the loan accounts as a sample. And the moment we know that one loan account is right, all the other loan accounts or the other deposit accounts are also right. So please do that verification where you can confidently tell that based on this workings, what you did, you are able to answer those questions in the LFAR. So kindly do that. Then there is a small point in LFAR that after the balance sheet date and till the date of the audit, whether there have been any unusual large movements on the aggregate deposits. So here I've tried to capture the deposits as of 31st March 2023, and then as on 7th April, and then we were able to find that this is the variance and the percentage in figures. This will help you to know that whether there have been unusual movements. So in this case, we found that there are 2 deposits where there were huge variances, but when we went inside, we found that the amount was very, very small and immaterial, so we ignored it. So if there are any things, then you need to get the comments from the manager or the chief manager as to see that why there have been unusual large movements. And then there is a question that are there any divergent trends in major items of income and expenditure in comparison with the corresponding previous year, which has not been satisfactorily explained by the branch. So before even asking the branch, if you ask blindly, they will give a standard answer, sir, we don't have any major change. But it is upon you to compare it with the current year figure with the previous year figures actually. So here you can see the expenditure of 31st March 2023 is to compare with 31/3/2022 to see if there is any variance. Same thing is with the case with the income, and then you can get to find it actually. And I've given some small indicators by way of arrow. How to do that? You select the range, go to home, conditional formatting. There is one option known as icon sets. You can select the one whichever you feel comfortable. I will suggest you select the one which is on the top. This will help you and give an indication as to whether you should be probing deep things into it or not. Then there is one more point in LFAR that large advances are being classified for which you have to do the audit of the documents and other parameters you need to verify. And they have defined the large advances. And they have said that large advances are those which are in respect of the outstanding amount in excess of 10% of the outstanding aggregate, both including the balance and the fund-based balances and the non-fund-based, or 10 crores, whichever is less. So how you can do that? I've given the total loans. Very important, the ODCC loans will not form part of your regular loan balance, which will have to be pulled out separately. That you can capture here. And then the total liabilities for the non-first fund balances will have to be put. So now I put the three figures. Now if I total it up, I get 84 crores. Since I want to know how many crores or how many lakhs it is there, I use one simple add-in here actually. This add-in you can see in the folder, the 10th folder, bank audit template, you can see this add-in. Now this add-in, what I want you to do is go to my PC or this PC, program files, Microsoft Office, copy it there actually. Now you can ask me, sir, do we need to really copy it somewhere here? The problem is if you copy it in your desktop and change the place, the function will not work out. So if you don't want it to be getting altered in the system, please copy it in a place in the folder where you're very sure you're not going to change it. Now what I have to do, I have to go to File, Options, and there is an option known as add-ins here. So I'll give add-ins, which will open one small box, and in the end you can see here, Manage Excel Add-ins Go. So click Go, go to Browse, select that file now. So in this case, I have to go to this PC, program files, Microsoft Office, select this add-in. In this case, it is asking me to replace. I will say OK, and then just say OK. And now if I type equal to spell number, open bracket, and then select this, I'll get the result. So now I'll put 10 crores. Okay, I've got only 1 crore. So I'll add one more zero to make it 10 crores. Now I need to apply the function to arrive at this 10% of the outstanding balance vis-a-vis 10 crores, whichever is less. Can somebody help me with the formula for this? In the cell C20, how do I arrive at the 10 crores or 10% of the aggregate balance, whichever is less? I recall in one of the sessions, they said you can do it using the if function. Yes, it is possible. Like I can say equal to this into 10%. So 10%. And then I can say equal to if this is less than this, blah, blah, blah. But there is a simple way. How you can do is you can use the minimum function equal to min, open bracket, select this total and say into 10% of this, comma, 10 crores. I've selected this and say. So now you can see you have got 8 crore 49 lakhs. To be very sure, I'll say Control C. 8 crores 49 lakhs will be my cutoff value of the loan. Any liability beyond this will qualify as a large advance, and I have to give a report separately. And I'll have to make my LFR workings do accordingly. Anything less than that, I have a choice of picking those loans, which I can. Now, there's one point in LFR where we have to give the list of accounts examined. So here you have to ensure that all the large advances are not missed. Very, very important. So those account numbers, the names, and their balances will have to be given. Along with it, you add the ones which you have seen. So then you get the total, and then you fill the total outstanding balance. And once you do that, automatically I've put a small formula for you to tell how much percentage I've got examined. which also can be filled here automatically. The LFAR which you are going to fill. Then you will have to review the suspense accounts and see whether they have got cleared in a reasonable time or not. So for which a small capturing of information I have given. There's one more point in LFAR which says that have you come across any quick mortality in accounts? That is accounts which have become non-performing within a period of 12 months. So for this, what I have to do, I have to get the list of NPA accounts, not the regular accounts. I have to get the list of NPA accounts. Okay, sir, I've got the list of NPA accounts which has a lot of information. What do I do? You are only bothered about the sanction date. Say today's, our cutoff date is 31st March 2023. So I will say equal to my cutoff date. I will give F4 to lock this cell minus my sanction date. So now I'll remove this filter, reapply the filter and say smallest to biggest. So I know that these accounts which are less than 365 days have turned out to be bad within 1 year of its sanction. And there are very many chances that there will be fraud in these accounts. I cannot take this lightly because I have to really probe into seeing that how could this account become bad within 1 year? How is it that the bank missed out in taking precautions? And in spite of, say, there have been some natural calamity or some fire and things have happened, then those are different things. Otherwise, we have to be very, very careful. Now, there's one more question in LFAR on liabilities deposits, that does the bank have a system of identifying the dormant or inoperative accounts? I'm very sure CBS would have taken care of it. But when this inoperative becomes, these inoperative accounts become operative accounts, you have to see that those are being properly taken care as to guidelines. Like the new KYC should have been obtained, and there are other circular would have been there, which has to be looked into. Now, to do this, the first and foremost thing is how to identify the accounts which have become operative. You go to the bank and ask, sir, can you give me the accounts which have become operative during the year? They won't be able to give you the list. And many a time I've seen they'll given file, sir, this is the inoperative accounts file. You please check the documents. Now, wherever the documents are there, that will be there in the file. What we, as an auditor, we have to find the accounts which have become operative and they have missed to get the documents for us to see if there are any deviations. So how to do that? What I do is I first try to get the list of accounts, the list of inoperative accounts as of last year, that is 31st March 2022. Then what do I do next? I get the inoperative accounts as of 31st March 2023. So by doing that, now what I will do, I will see if these accounts which have got missed in the latest list have actually become operative. So I will try to get samples for those and see whether the branch is maintaining proper records for re-KYC and other consent letter and other things or not. How to do that? It's nothing but using a simple VLOOKUP function. Equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket. This is my lookup value, comma. I'm going to select with the latest list. And don't forget to log this by using F4, comma 1, because I want the same result, comma 0. Now, if I filter it using not applicable, I know these 4 accounts have got operative. In fact, you will get so many. So in this, I can randomly pick few samples and tell them, sir, can I get the, in fact, not this. Can I get the KYC done of these 4 accounts? So that I'm very sure that you have followed the guidelines or not. So rather than giving some generic things or accepting the files which the bank is given, you can use this data analysis to pinpoint the exact accounts which you have to be verified. Then I have captured the small information on UDIN, what the system may ask, which can be captured beforehand, so that when you are going to generate UDIN, you don't waste time in the last minute as to what is the information it is asking. And only few things which you should know when generating UDIN is for the audit report, for the LFAR and the certificates, whether you are going to sign it manually or whether you're going to sign it digitally, there is only one UDIN required. Additional UDIN may be required if there is a tax audit report. Otherwise, there's only one UDIN. And one very important, for all the certificates what is being issued, please ask your principal to prepare a covering letter so that there is no misuse of generating UDIN being done. And then if the certificate is signed on a different date, I have signed 13 certificates today, and after 3 days, the bank comes and tells, sir, you have missed one certificate, can you please give one? You can give one by taking care of all the supportives and due diligence, applying due diligence. But the only thing is, for that, I'll have to generate separate UDIN. I cannot use the same UDIN. Please be careful. In fact, many auditors have seen, they go for getting rubber stamps done and use it. Nothing wrong in it. You can do it to save time. But the only thing is, when you're coming back from the branch, carry that rubber stamp with you. Don't leave it at the branch, because if there are any misuse done, there can be trouble for you actually. And then if it is signed by more than one partner, separate UDIN will have to be generated. And in case of joint auditors also, separate UDIN will have to be generated by each signing partner. And this is a small sheet which we prepare in our office, where we capture the information which is pending. Say I'm asked one particular person to do the cash verification. So I'll say cash verification. Then I will say I've given this assignment to get the jewel loan verification done here. So we know who is taking part of which area, and once it is done, I'll give control 5, which it will get struck off. So this acts as a small indicator for me that I've asked for something and I've got it closed. Say I'm asking a specific circular on cash retention from the bank I'm awaiting. Till it is coming, it will be here, and the moment it has come, I'll give control 5 that it has already come actually. So this will help you to have a control of how things are heading and where things stand actually. And then the last point being management representation, which I already told you. You keep observing, noting things then and there. And then in the last, you can always add in the format, because if you're going to do things in the very last minute, there are very many chances that you might miss 1 or 2 points. So it is better it is being captured than in. So this Google Sheet, which I've shared with you, I'll be updating it then and there, because if you see that the last one got updated yesterday. So wherever I feel there are some new things coming, I'll be updating it, which you can make use of it actually. So friends, that's all from this side. I've tried to give a small sheet which will help you to plan the audit, as well as help you to prepare the documentation as and when you are doing the audit, rather than making it as a separate exercise actually. So thank you, and ready to take questions if you have any.
Thank you, sir. Students, if any of you have any doubts, please put it on the chat box. And I'm also enabling the unmute option. So please, if any of you have doubts, please unmute yourself.
I've enabled them. They can.
Yeah. Okay. So please, students, you may proceed.
Anything in what we covered today, or even what we have not covered today? If I will know, I will be happy to answer. Venkatesh, you can check if there is anything in the YouTube also. I don't mind taking those up.
Sure thing, sir. I'll do that. Sir, I actually have a doubt regarding classification of an NPA, a general doubt regarding classification of NPA. Okay, so for an account to become an NPA, there shouldn't be equal credit as compared to the debits?
It is not like that. The interest which gets accrued in the account, 90 days should not have elapsed after that, which means if it is a EMI, 3 EMIs should not have been elapsed. The moment it goes beyond 90 days, your account is to be termed as NPA. And this NPA account will not just come like that. There are something known as SMA accounts, special mention accounts. It will first come under the category where you have not paid your dues within 30 days. Then it is 30 to 60 days, then 60 to 90 days. So only after those 3 buckets are crossed, then your account will be termed as NPA.
Yes, sir. But the thing is that if the loan is for an agriculturalist and he hasn't paid the 3 consecutive installment and the account has been classified as NPA, what if he gets a government grant? Would that suffice? Because of which would his account be a normal account?
Yeah, back-end subsidy has to be considered and is generally considered. It is only beyond that he has not paid, then the account becomes NPA. Till the time, whatever that due is there, that gets considered for classifying NPA. I mean, the benefit is given to the farmer.
Okay, sir. But when I came across such a situation, the grant was not as equivalent as the accumulated debits.
No, it should have, because see, there may be some back-end subsidy. The subsidy are to be given only when you pay the last installment.
Okay,
That
okay,
will not be
okay.
considered. Your grant which is there should be legitimately due to you, that you will be getting it. It is only then that has to be considered. Otherwise, no. So in your case, it must be the back-end subsidy.
Okay, sir. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you, sir.
And of course, for agri loans, you have to see the crop season. It will depend on the crop the person is doing. Then there may be some state level committees recommendations on at certain times where there may be drought or difficult times. All those will have to be considered before you arrive at the things. And at the same time, don't blindly go by what the branch has done. There are very many chances that they could have also gone wrong in understanding the circular or the things. If you're satisfied that everything is fine, then no issues. In fact, I want to thank everybody. Being online for more than 2 hours is not easy. So that's why I said we'll have a 3-hour session, but try to complete in 2.25 hours so that we can use the time for Q&A if any. I'm getting a feedback that was very useful. Thank you.